Okay, meeting come to order, June 25th, 2019. Present Joe Correa, David, Wanda, and Tom is absent. Okay, we're gonna start with some correspondence here.
Nothing there.
I guess there's nothing from the nurses or anything? Okay,
I don't know why I didn't get there.
we've got, let's see here. Oh, this meeting's gonna be video and audio taped. Okay, we've got 4 different septics, 989 Main Street, and Sylvia, South Coast Engineering Septic Plan Repair. What do we got on that, Joe?
So this was a foreclosure that had sat around for quite a while and recently been purchased and then headed right into septic design, Presby system. And it's right there on the corner of Leonard Street. It's the property on the corner of Leonard and Main. Water tables are a little high over there.
I mean the house, the little white house in the corner,
Yep, yep.
the one with the white stone in front.
It's home with the barn that had a collapsed
Yes.
roof for about 15 years.
Which is now gone.
Yeah, it was nothing but the place.
Yep.
So it's been purchased.
It's been purchased, yep. So we did perk test, it was wet, there was a sieve that was involved in it. Again, it chose to go with the Presby design, so.
Is the 2 feet
substantially
wide
better.
It doesn't say variances, but technically it's 2 feet.
Yeah. Okay, I got one problem with this plan, Joe. Underneath each elbow here should have a block. He's not showing it on his plan here.
Right.
Remember we made that as a right?
Yeah.
So can you bring that up to him? I don't think we require another plan. It's just write it in.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is that?
Dave?
Yep.
Right? Just taking a quick look at it. I haven't seen this before, so that's why I just picked it up just now. Other than that, and it's a pump system. Any variances, Joe?
Well, the 2 feet, Dave picked that up.
Yeah, it's almost right up with the
Okay.
2 feet of groundwater. Instead of 4, which is allowed
Okay.
for a purpose.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes for the variance and
Make a motion to approve the plan, but the right on the plan that the patio blocks are required under each elbow,
Mhm.
which means 8 total should be added. And Joe can just make a note on the plan
Yeah.
where we sign it. So it's a motion to approve for that stipulation.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes to approve the plan for the patio blocks underneath.
Just recognize that block.
Surprised you guys didn't pick that up.
And two.
Usually you pick up quite a bit, David.
I know.
Okay.
Slept on it, yes.
Okay, 216 Peckham Road. Marjorie Kingen Bohannon, whatever. Alan Airwing Engineering, septic plan repair, 2 variances, reduction in size of SAS up to 50% allowed, 39% proposed, groundwater 3 foot to
That
35 foot.
Those have changed.
They have.
Yeah, it was posted and we weren't able to change that with the revision. The original plan was showing, so this is over on Peckham Road, this is a, essentially a two-family. There's two buildings there that were allowed there. And this is the repair to it. It's kind of some history to it, this is again on Peckham Road, it's next to where the sewer line, the sewer force main was, and then there was some, possibilities of tying into that back in 2006. So ultimately, here we are, and we're following through with the original repair of this system. Other than the variance, so originally the engineer was trying to show a reduction in the size of the system. It was thought that, it's a two-family, better off to be a full-size system than reduced. So the system was enlarged to be a conforming system, but we're still looking at a water table variance and a variance to the wetland.
Very wet down there. It's just a shame, Joe, that they have a sewer line going by there. And these people had the intentions of tying in and they just couldn't do it. That's a shame. Running all that money for a sewer line and then you only have one person using it to school.
There's also alternative treatment in this too.
I know, but the thing is, Joe, the sewerage is the best. You can have all the alternative treatments, but sewer is the best.
We're gonna talk about that quite a bit, right at the end of the meeting.
Oh, we are?
We are.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that on the agenda, is it here?
Yeah, it's there. It's called the Sewer Summit.
Okay.
Motion to approve the groundwater and wetland setback variances.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion to approve the plan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. Okay, 34 Rogerson Avenue, Keaton, Monica Wild, Alan Ewing, septic repair plan, 1 variance requested, leaching field setback to cellar wall, 16 6 feet rather than 20.
Yeah, that in itself is pretty good, considering the circumstances here.
Yep, small lot.
Super small lot. We went out there to do a Title V inspection, and it was the original low galleys, if you will. They were completely filled to the top, water was bleeding out of them when they opened it up. And the irony behind that is half that system was underneath a big chunk of concrete that they were using as a dog kennel. So, from the engineer standpoint, they were able to get in here and squeeze the system in back in the general location. Some of that concrete will have to be removed, but all in all. And they just put it in too.
Concrete?
Yeah. I mean, within like a year ago. But
It
they're.
happens.
Yep. Absolutely.
We've had people put in pools and they said, well, then next thing you know, the septic system fails and then they have to pull out the pool in order to fix it.
Yep.
That happens.
Say that part of the dog kennel in stone.
Yeah, well, it's in the process of being sold, so the reality is I don't know that the new people need the dog kennel. they've been in contact with us.
Either the septic system or fails, so they can't sell it.
Yep.
So, guess what, the cow's gotta go.
There you go.
Okay, we have,
Motion to approve the one variance.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion to approve the plan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And then the fun will begin. I can't wait to be part of this installation.
This
Because
one?
Yeah, 'cause it's a big hill to get in, the house is
You
better.
gotta climb
This,
I can see those
climb
numbers.
up the hill
yeah,
from 91 to 97. So you're gonna have to ramp all the way up to about here to get around the bend.
You better not get no rain.
yeah, one of the,
It's tighter than
contractors-
my friend there, the other, is he on that side or the other side? Souza, you just had one put in back yet?
Oh, yeah. That, they were talking about conveyors here,
Yes.
using the conveyor. To try to get, the stone and sand and
Oh,
whatnot,
God.
because they just, you're gonna have that, the massive cut that you'll have to put in there to get the trucks up there.
Right.
We shall see.
That's gonna be an interesting one.
Yep.
Better get a big one.
We'll see. Only words right now.
Okay, we got one more, 56 Lawson Avenue, Danielle Cable, Trust Sitec. Septic plan repair when various requested, groundwater reduction 4 to 3 feet.
This is over on, obviously, Lawson Avenue. The soils down there are pretty good. Interesting shaped lot, but much able to get it done. One of the larger lots down there. Basic galleys.
What's the request for the variance?
Just a water table. We're leaving, that's because of the bottom. That's just because of the depth. The machine can get in.
Well, we've got plenty of water in the ground, I'll tell you that.
This again, you got that force gravity sand in there. It's really good over on that lower end. As you get up to the higher end, what would be the west end seems to be better than the east end. Is a little bit of the Till Hill. This seems to be outwash down here.
So it's on this side, next to Joanne's house,
Right there. Joanne.
right here, or right across the street. Yeah, there was some nice fine gravels in there.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Motion to approve the variance.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes for the variance.
Motion to approve the plan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Some pieces.
Okay, we got some discussion here, pumping records, review of matters presented, Board of Need taken by the board.
No issues with that? Continue to pursue anybody that might have a problem? We haven't had any.
Everything all up to par. You wanna keep it on, or you wanna, what do you want to do?
It's been good for a long time. I think we should scratch it until something happens.
I agree, I mean, we're on top of We
All
make
of
sure
the-
that there's never an issue.
Right,
Motion to take it off the agenda.
okay, motion, second?
Oh, aye. You're the second.
Motion passes to take it off the agenda. Sorry about that. Okay, cash sales regarding Title V, review of matters presented, vote may be taken.
We continue to stay on top of that. We watch properties that are being sold on a monthly basis. We're constantly involved in checking on those properties, make sure Title V has been done, or that they're getting installed if they fail, or that they're passed. There's a few here and there that tend to ebb and flow. We get a property that might have been a cash sale. We get ready to go, or we send out our letters.
Any
We're up to
problems
date.
lately?
No, we're up to date. Everybody's pretty much doing what they should be doing.
Motion to take it off the agenda.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. .396 Middle Road, follow-up, reviews the matter presented, vote may be taken. You're still on that one, huh, Joe?
396 keeps kind of coming, it doesn't go, it stays there. It had, the person that bought it, we pushed and they had ultimately had the installer come in, pull the permit to go ahead and put the septic system in the way that it was. But the person that, and again, this is in no way, shape, or form an excuse, touch with me about what they're doing. The intent was to go ahead and install it, but when he bought the house, that house is the old dress shop. And he had some plans on what he wanted to potentially convert that into. It was an idea
We've
of
gone through that before.
Right, well, that was the previous owners, the previous purchasers or buyers of the
So
property.
we got some new people again?
This is the same guy, but he didn't come ahead of time to have the conversation with us. So he was about ready to go ahead and, oh, thank you. He was about ready to go ahead and, to wait to put the septic in, but he had his engineer, went back to his engineer and asked his engineer to look at it, at what his ideas on the house would be to make sure that the flow for the new system would be proper. So they're just making sure that what he wants to do is, number one, legal, and number two, if the flow's gonna match. So if you make, I think they had originally designed, I know they designed it as first they designed it as a childcare facility. Then they redesigned it, the whole plan, as a church. And now he's got in touch with the engineer to make sure that whatever his intentions are moving forward will match that flow. So that was the latest conversation from the engineer when he
Well,
called.
keep on top of it.
Yeah, it's wearing thin, but they continue to stay in touch, and, an installer has pulled the permit. So, I mean, there seems to be some intent to go in the right direction there.
Motion to keep on the agenda.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes to keep on the agenda. .19 Darling Street, Title V sanitary code violation, review of matter presented, votes may be taken.
Yep, so this one, definitely some violations there, has been, that was at the apartment. It needed it had a failed septic system, and the system never got replaced, and, what we've done at this particular point in time, he continues to stay in touch with me. He's hired some contractors in regards to working on making sure that any violations on the inside of the house are gonna be corrected when the building department goes in there to do theirs, do their inspections. For our issue, you know, first and foremost with the failed septic system, updating that. I've been able to join him together with somebody else that has a failed septic system up there, and spent a lot of time talking to Dan, also about extending the sewer from Middle Road all the way up to the top of Darling Street, which is essentially gonna tie in about 10 houses. That's gonna be at their expense. When they look at the value of what they'd have to, what the cost would be to install the septic systems versus run the sewer up, it's gonna be, and for those tiny lots up there, there'd be much more value to them, you know, and
Will they be going down the middle of the road? Will the shoulder?
no, they're gonna have to go the way that Dan has
I
done
talked
it.
to Dan about that, and he says he thinks he's gonna go down the middle of that road.
Well, that will change everything, because the original conversation was that it's gonna go down, it has to run down the road in Middle Road because of the extension. Okay, but then it was gonna go down the sidewalk area, and that's what the engineers have been hired on. That was the conversation that the engineers actually had with Dan. They sat down with Dan and had that conversation. That would extend up the side.
So the town, Dan, BPW would extend it up Middle Road, and then they would pick it up from there?
No, they're gonna extend it from where it is right now to basically where they have to in Middle Road to go up the sideline. And then at that point, so this is all through them. So extend it down Middle Road, the depth that it needs to be.
Is this gonna
In
be
the road.
the town doing this job, or?
No, this is at their expense. Yeah, so it's a private contractor that will do the work, that's bonded and licensed as a drain layer. But it'll actually extend up the side. Dan is offered to supply the tees for all the houses that would go up there, but it will go down the sidewalk area and not go down the center of the road. That's what makes it reasonable. And Dan, again, the engineer, Dan, and these two particular individuals sat down at the DPW office and had this conversation to make sure they move in the right direction. At this point, they've actually put the money down, they've hired
The only reason why
engineer.
they're going down the sidewalk is the only thing I can think that we don't have to pay for road.
That's exactly, and I mean, it makes it.
But if Dan's gonna give them the tees and all, and the shut-offs, is that gonna be a
Oh,
force
the
main?
shut-offs.
No,
No,
force
it's
main.
all gravity.
All gravity.
Yep.
So if he's gonna give them that, he's still gonna have to go across the street and do ties.
Well, it'll be at the people's expenses, so they're gonna extend the sewer up, put the Ts in to tie in their two pieces of property.
Okay.
Okay, that
Same
leftover
side.
main will be there, that main will be there for everybody's availability at that point. So that's the intent, that's what we're looking for. Other than that, they have to put in septic systems.
Not cheaper. Only pipe, labor.
It should be, and you know, it's the whole, again, allow it to stay as high as it can in the road, and make sure that everybody gets gravity down. It's not something that this is gonna be, you know, 11 feet deep in the road. I mean, we're talking four feet down, you know, in a sidewalk area that's all grass right
Because
now.
nothing in that street is under the foundations, it's all up above, everybody's got, so they're just gonna pull off at a septic tank and just loop it around the house and go over.
It's a really, if this all comes together the way that I'm really pushing it, you know, it'll be a great thing for the people on Darling Street. It'll be great for the people that are involved in this right now, because they have to.
Okay, no problem.
Motion to keep it on the agenda for next meeting?
All in favor?
Aye.
Yep, keep it on the agenda. Okay, subsidized tic testing. Review of matters presented, what may be taken.
So we had discussed this at last meeting,
Yep.
and I was able to, you know, follow through after your approval, and basically we got the, you know, the cost for this, and it'd be $210. It'll allow up to 14 tick reports, tick testing. $15 is gonna be, so that's $15 subsidized from us. And basically, it brings the test down to $30, which right now is $50. So we subsidize 15, they subsidize the other 15, which is UMass, and it makes the test $20 cheaper. 14 tests.
So how many tests are you gonna have?
14.
Is that sufficient?
For now, I mean, I think it's something that once we see, we have, like I said, you can actually go on this, there's a database where we can see who's been tested,
Yeah.
what communities have been tested, how many tests they've had, what different kinds of tests that they have. It's really interesting. But Acushnet has had, I want to say there's 3 or 4 tests that over about a 2 or 3 year period. that
Well, it's
have-
gonna be worse now because we've had a lot of rain.
Well, it's not only that, it's over years, so Acushnet hasn't necessarily taken advantage of this UMass
Yeah.
tick testing. But what we want to do is promote this a little bit more, because yes, we're having a lot of issues with ticks, a lot of issues. So, you know, this whole concept is to get people aware of it a little bit more. This is to put the cart before the horse, so to say, because there's a long time between the time that you get bit and you potentially find out that you have a tick-borne disease. This is like a 3-day turnaround. You send your tick up there, it gets tested, and it tells you from a DNA standpoint all the different, what kind of tick it is, what kind of bacteria is in it, so that you can actually give this information to your doctor, and your doctor can, you know, take the proper treatment ahead of time, because that's the big thing about this, bacterial disease. And
That's a tough thing, that deer tick.
it's got to be treated early.
And they have a new tick out too, don't they?
There's not a new tick, but there's
Well-
more ticks that they're finding that have more bacteria in them, and, you know, that are actually causing disease to people. And this is just one way of trying to get ahead of it.
Okay, what's the bottom line here?
Oh, again, I just following through with what we had talked about originally.
I see no problem with it, Joe.
It was me,
Today.
I'm squeezing the budget.
Very approved.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
approved it. It's just I was letting you know that we followed through with it. I'm waiting till the end of this week just to make sure that I'm all good with the budget, because like I said, we've been squeezing it as we've been going along to get the extra money out of it for this.
It's a good thing.
Motion to keep on the agenda, so we just see how it pans out.
Yep.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. Health agents contract, forget that.
Okay.
Motion to approve the health agents contract for the next fiscal.
Do we have it here?
Yeah, I gave a copy to you, and I think the original's in there.
In here?
Yeah.
You don't mind if I look for it, do you?
Of course not.
Nothing's changed.
No, same as last year. For the most part.
What's the most part?
The pay.
Is this the new salary for this year?
Mm-hmm.
What was last year's salary?
63, I believe. Somewhere in there.
How much increase did you get?
Well, what is it?
Is this across the board for all,
Oh, yeah, this has been discussed from the moment, from all our budget hearings. This was the same number that we carried forward based on the wage and classification study.
Right, but it's what we approved
At the budget hearing, it is included with
the matches
the
town.
finance
How many
committee.
vote? It's all approved at our budget.
all these people that work for the town, like the building inspector and all, well, can't forget him. They had the same increase in pay as you?
It depended upon the steps. So
Yeah,
the way,
it wasn't consistent.
Well, it's not
It's
across the
not
board.
like that, because they're non-union, so it's different.
You're not union.
I'm not.
Different people with different steps, different places.
I'm just wondering.
I don't know the answers to all, but I know it's different.
I don't attend the meeting, so I don't know what they're doing wrong. Make a motion, David, to
A
accept.
motion to approve the health agent contract?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yep. Okay, now we got the hot shot thing that we gotta look at now, right?
It's not that bad.
Well, we approve the minutes, and we'll be done after the last seven.
You wanna approve the minutes now?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion to approve April 30th minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, you wanna set up a meeting for next time, or get in touch with Tom, and you and him talk together, see what you guys...
Yeah, I'm taking a week off, I'm not sure.
I know it's a
where.
busy time of the year for you.
I'm thinking, very late in the month. Thinking the 30th?
July 30th? 6.
Okay.
Okay. You have another place to run off to?
You got 10 more minutes.
All right, the health agent, we reneged on this thing, so. Sewer Summit review of matters presented, what may be taken. Okay, what we got, Joe?
Okay, so, Selectman Cabral has suggested that, all the boards get together based on the fact that the sewer study that's been finished, along with some discussions about, you know, what we're looking at expense-wise to expand the sewer system, and what the expense would be associated with betterments. Just an overall picture, the priority areas, what we can do to move forward is basically his reasoning behind this. And what he'd like to do is ideally get the planning board, get the Conservation Commission, get the Board of Health, all together, the select board, all together in one big summit, if you will, and start to discuss how to move forward, where to address the priorities, what information, at least bring you all together on what the information is that they've obtained as part of the sewer study.
So what if they obtained, did we get any sewer study into this office to look at it, and?
We've looked at it I've looked at it over time, and a lot of it had to do with priority areas, but most of it really had to do with, generally speaking, how, where, and what we could do to get sewer to particular areas. So, you know, there was an initial discussion with the department heads about what we all kind of thought priority areas might be, seeing what was going on. I mean, most of the priority areas are exactly what you would think. I mean, there's like Nice Lane, there's availability to sewer over there, there's small lots, you know, South Main Street. Those are some of the main spots, you know.
Is the city gonna allow us to bring any more sewage into the city? That's
Well-
another big $64 question.
Again, I think this has all been looked at from the consultant, which is Woodard and Curran. All this has been discussed. This is the whole part of the whole concept, as I understand it, behind the sewer summit. And it's really just to sit down and start to have conversation about how to handle it.
Well, if Woodward and Curran did a survey on this,
And study.
a study, I don't know nothing about it.
Well, I think that
I think that if there is a study being going on, and you're present at the study, I think we should know as board members what the heck's going on.
I haven't, it's
Even
not
if it's a
me.
few words.
Yeah, it hasn't been me in the sense of what's been going on. The original conversation, which goes back 2 years or 3 years ago, and we very, you know, I don't remember if we talked about it or not, but it was really to move forward in order, because DEP has shut off any extension, any sewer extension in Acushnet without this study being done. That's where it all started from, because most communities have this type of this sewer study so that they know where they can extend, so they extend in some sort of well thought out way. All right, there's a plan, there's a reason why you want to extend the sewer, where you want to extend it, how many houses are going to be involved. But this is more to go into the beginning of the boards sitting down, and they're gonna have that conversation with you about, this is what we came up with, this is what we studied. It wasn't necessarily the board, it was more done through the consultant with a little bit of direction from the communities, from the DPW, what's going on, what cost is associated, how old the infrastructure is, what can you.
Shouldn't we know what's going on?
Well, that's
as
the
the
point of
board?
the sewer study.
I know, but if they've had discussion about it, do you know anything about it, David?
There's nothing,
Pretty up to speed.
there's nothing on the fact that there's
The
anything
study
being
was
done.
paid for by town meeting vote. It's like a $400,000 study. It's called
Yeah.
a comprehensive wastewater management study. The company that's hired just does it according to the regulations that they have to follow with the state. And they outline a plan, and it's like they put together a thick report that tells you where you should go, where you shouldn't. You probably already know half of that anyway, you know, from knowing the town. And they just point out area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you gotta figure, you know, they give these crazy ballpark numbers on how much it would cost to do. And the bottom line is, the numbers are not reasonable and practical to expand sewer based on what they're telling us. So really, there's gotta be a more creative way to do it in-house, or else it's not gonna happen. People can't get hit with $40,000 benefits. It's ridiculous.
So again,
So
it's
it's
just
just,
the.
yeah, I mean, I've been following it. I mean, the selectmen, you know, they had the report presented to them by this engineering group that had to do the plan for us, and we had to pay for it, because we needed it. So it sounds like he's just trying to gather everybody together and just,
Figure out what to do next.
yeah, figure out,
At least
so
we
the
know what-
report doesn't just collect dust, is how like Roger
Well, I mean,
put it.
he's explaining this now, you know, I don't have time to watch selectmen's meetings.
Yeah, well, again, I think that the beginning of the summer, the point of this is number one, to let the board know that this is something that wants to happen, and they want you to be part of it. So, I mean, I have to go back with, does the board want to be part of this, or do they think something different? So that's the first part of
As
it.
part of the board of sanitation, so,
No, I know, but then again, there might be other options on the board. Maybe to do one board member instead of doing the whole board, and set up one board member from the planning board, one from the Board of Health, one from the conservation. You know, again, there's different, the concepts are different ideas, so that's first to tell you about it. See what your opinion, what your feelings are, so I can bring that back to the selectmen, let them know what my board's feeling on it.
Well,
And then you're gonna get all that information. The minute you sit down there, the first round of discussions, it's gonna be basically what, where, when, and how, and what we know at this point. And then the rest of it's gonna be, what can we do? What can we do to make it better?
I'm interested, in I had a conversation with the chairman of the board of selectmen, because I watched the one meeting, and I called him because I didn't agree with some of what was being said about the areas they were talking about. And we had a nice conversation, and I told him I'm more than interested in my input, based on my experience, and where it's needed, and what should be looked at first, not area 6, it should be area 1, 2, and 3. It's just common sense more than anything else, but you also gotta find a way to make it, practical.
Make it happen.
Yeah. Financial.
that's the thing, the financial thing right now. If you look at the village in here, you get mostly a lot of older people. Up north where you come from, there's a lot of younger people. I mean, there's a lot of older people up there, but the older people are basically on fixed incomes, they're not working, they're retired. It's tough for them. You know, to
This
say,
is the
okay,
point of the
that's the
this
sewer
is
you're
it.
gonna have to pay. You know, that's gonna be tough. You know, if you're working, it's not too bad, but, yeah, it's just hard. I gotta think of people.
Sure.
I don't
And that-
think of a sewer project, I don't think where it's gonna go, I think of how the people's gonna afford it. If the people can't afford it, and it's stuffed down their throat, that's a tough situation.
And from Chairman Brawley, I think that's the basic premise. That's what he wants to do. That's why he wants to communicate with all the people involved and figure out what the best route to go, what the best thing to do, and, take our information and our knowledge of the areas and use that,
I
to
mean, if you really
benefit.
think about it, your knowledge of the area and the building inspector is out there all the time. So you see what is bad or good. You see what has to be done or not to be done. I mean, you don't wanna pick an area that the lots are real humongous, and you can put stuff on it, or you're looking at the village with an 80 by 80 lot that you can't do nothing to. You know,
This is all
it's
very.
like Darling Street, those are lots of small, all these,
Yeah,
you know, that's the ones that needs sewage.
and this is the conversation at the summit. I mean, this is literally the start of it. This is what he's hoping to spark, this kind of
I
conversation.
mean, if somebody sits on the board and they're in their area, they say, oh gee, we need sewer over there too. But do they really need it?
Yeah, but there's also
You
a
know, you
cost
got-
associated with
You
it,
got
so
lots,
you're right.
bigger lots, like these all 20 by 80 lots in the center here.
Yeah.
There's nothing bigger than that, 20 by 80. Some of them are 3 lots, 2 lots, you know, they're small. I can see here, but we already have our surge in here, our first phase. We already went through a second phase. And this, I guess, would presume a third phase?
Well, with multiple phases.
Could be 10, it could be
Yeah.
20, it could be little micro phases.
Oh, that's
I
it.
think that the big, like let's do phase 1 or 2, or whatever they got, the numbers are too big,
Yeah.
so.
This was
they
2
have
big
to-
phases.
They have to really
1 and 2.
micromanage. I think I listen to it, it's the way the big company says to do it, it's just not practical, but I think that it could be done in little pieces. And I think that's what the point is, to just have some dialogue and make sure everybody's on the same page so that something doesn't occur where you start hearing rumors and or innuendo and people, it's just, you know, it's a good
Everybody's
idea.
on
I
the
mean, it's
same
just-
page.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
I
have,
mean,
you're gonna
I'm
have,
interested as a
you're gonna
board
have all
member
kind of rumors
to,
anyhow.
you know,
Yeah.
it comes down to scheduling.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
everybody's busy, you know, summertime might be the worst time to try and get it off the ground, but it's,
I think that they were thinking more,
fall, I don't,
I think more towards September. I may be wrong with that. I know that they were, you know, he wanted to see it start moving, and so we would have this conversation so
Sure.
that we could start
No,
to
I
see
think it's a
what
good
you
idea.
feel about it.
that's my feeling, it's a good idea, it's, you gotta vet it out.
I don't have no
and,
problem with it, you know, it's a good thing to have. I'd rather have my storage any day than the septic system.
Yeah.
You pay for it, but in the long run, you have people over, you have a party, you're not worried about the thing backing up in the backyard and stinking out the neighborhood. You flush the toilet, it's gone. Don't worry about it, you know?
And you can put a pool in your backyard.
That's right. No, I don't want
All right, well,
those. I'd rather have a cesspool back there. Pools are headaches.
okay, generally speaking.
I know. I know David's gotta get rolling here. Anything else on this?
I would just say, let's make a motion to keep it on the agenda, so when Tommy's back, you know, if there's any more information to offer,
You can
you can talk to him, fill him, yeah, fill him in individually.
Okay,
And it looks like this will be up for next
all in
meeting.
favor?
Um,
All in favor of that
Yeah.
motion?
Yes,
Okay.
aye.
so, yeah.
We can't talk about it, so okay, next meeting. I think that's it. A
That's
motion to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes at
6:53.
6:53.
The biggest.